Well, hello again, and welcome back to PK&W Model Works, or welcome if it's your first visit. Please subscribe if you like this content. You can see behind me, it's a very snowy day here in Pittsburgh, so it's an ideal time to sit back and do a little thinking, be a little contemplative. Those of you who've watched my live streams, typically the third Sunday of every month, you know that I enjoy thinking about the hobby and all hobby pursuits, but certainly the hobby of model railroading and model building. And I've shared during those live streams some of the things that I find that are interesting. And I think thinking about the hobby allows us to have more enjoyment out of the hobby. I think it's very important. And so I thought, since I was doing that in the live streams, it would be a good idea to have a recurring series where I can use some of those ideas, share some of those ideas with a wider audience than might be on the live stream. And so welcome to the first of what I'm sure will be many trains of thought videos about thinking about the hobby. It was Plato who said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And I certainly believe that that's true. The unexamined hobby is not worth practicing. Let's think about the hobby and enjoy it more. So this idea comes from a podcast called Small Subjects. I recommend you check them out. I'll try and put a link in the show notes to their website, but you can find them on most podcasting apps. And they're into figure modeling, they're into armor modeling, and they're not railroad people, but they do cover some really great ideas. And one of their recent shows, and this is being recorded in January, witness the weather, of 2026, and the show they did at the end of 2025 touched on this subject, where they interviewed a gentleman who was very thoughtful about modeling. The basic premise of the show is, it's okay not to finish. It's okay not to finish a model. It's okay not to finish a layout, because this is a hobby and you're trying to do the things that you enjoy. And so, we all admire, and they're certainly wonderful, a completed layout that's complete in every respect. It's set up for operations, it's fully scenic, everything is done very, very well. That's great. That is maybe the ultimate achievement. But I'm willing to bet that the people who achieved that ended up doing some things that they really didn't enjoy doing in order to finish the project. So they may not like electronics, but they had to do electronics. They may not like doing signaling, but they felt they had to do it to have a completed layout. Well, they compromised there. And, for some people, getting to the finish line is the most important thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not devaluing finishing. I love finishing a project and finishing a model. That is the ultimate. And so I'm not telling you don't finish anything, but I am telling you finish what you want to finish. So the example that they gave in this podcast, Small Subjects podcast, was of a modeler. I think he was an airplane modeler, but I don't know what he built. But he really liked the assembly process. And so all he did was build the models. He never painted them. He never put decals on. He didn't like doing that. He liked the construction process, kind of like Legos, right? He liked putting the things together. And that was all he liked. And when he was done, he threw them in the trash. It wasn't about displaying it. It was the act of construction. That was what he really enjoyed. And so that's the goal, is to focus on the things that you enjoy. So a corollary of this is, don't let other people's expectations, interests, or demands influence you too much, because they don't know, their goal is not the same as your goal. Okay? So for instance, in my case, I get some pressure from my family. It's gentle, but I get some pressure from my family to work on my layout, finish my layout, get trains running. And that is my goal for 2026, but they've been urging this for years. But my real pleasure in the hobby is in building models, detailing models, painting, decaling. That's really where I get my pleasure. So, you know, that pressure that they give me, while well-intentioned, I don't like it, and it doesn't improve my enjoyment of the hobby or my enjoyment of life. So don't succumb to pressure to do things that you don't want to do. And I think if you look over your model railroading friends, you will see that there are people who are executing on this pretty well, okay? So for example, Trackside Mike up in Canada is great at doing scenery, and that's what he does. Does he have running trains? Yes. But I bet he doesn't have, you know, an operating signal system or any of that other stuff, because he really likes, I sense anyway, that he really likes creating scenery. And he does a great job at that. And so let him focus on that. You know, that's wonderful. And I don't mean to pick on Trackside Mike. He's just one example. I'm sure you can think of others, and you can think of many people in the hobby who don't have a finished layout. And that's okay. It's okay not to finish. It's okay not to have a completed layout. Not only would the joy be out of it, no matter what you like to do, once everything was done to perfection, but a lot of people don't want to do certain things. You know, they just want to have moving trains, for example. And so having scenery is secondary, tertiary. They're not really interested in. That is fine. It is a hobby. So how am I implementing this? So my next layout, probably my last layout, will be cold rail, because I don't like wiring and I don't like electronics. It'll be enough to have to figure out battery-powered operations and modify locomotives to do that. Gonna have, you know, Bluetooth, Bluenami sound decoders, so there'll be no track wiring at all. The only wiring on the layout, there will be no switches that will be powered. They will all be finger flick switches. The only thing that might be wired in the layout would be lighting and structures, and that's frankly optional to me. I may do it, but I may not. So that's part of what I've done in order to implement this myself, to take a platonic approach to my hobby. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm looking at using used oil drums to support my layout. Totally unconventional, but it'll get me to the finish line faster. I'm not a great carpenter like James Galton of the Dundas Junction Railroad. He's a master carpenter, frankly. I'm not, and I don't want to be a master carpenter. So if I can find a way to get the layout 40 inches or more off the ground without having to build any legs or any supporting structure, all I have to do is roll some barrels into place, that's what I'm going to do. And so it's going to get me to the goal that I want to be at faster, which is to have some trains running through great scenery and in front of great structures and displaying some great modeling skills. That's what I'm looking for. So that's all I've got for you today. But that is my message. Figure out what it is that you really like about the hobby. Don't be ashamed of it. Focus on it, and you will enjoy the hobby more. And don't let other people pressure you, make you feel bad, make you feel small when it doesn't match their expectations or what they like to do. Because that's not what it's all about. It's about you. Let me know in the comments if you like this, if you have any ideas for some other shows, or even if you don't like it, just be gentle. But if you have any thoughts about other things that we might cover in the Trains of Thought series here, I would welcome those ideas in the comments. Until next time, Bob Johnson with PK&W Model Works signing off. Keep on modeling. I almost forgot. Cheers.